And CBS This Morning co-hosts Charlie Rose, Norah O'Donnell, and Gayle King are with us right now from the White House. Thank you guys so much for joining us. What an incredible broadcast.
You don't know how incredible it was, Vlad. You should have seen what just happened to us 3 minutes ago.
Tell us, what
After we
happened?
went off the air, there was a guy walked in here at the corner. He seemed to know the building well. And it was President Trump.
In walks the President of the United States.
A great conversation, which he said off the record. He said it 3 times. No microphones, but we had a really engaging conversation about sort of serious, important issues that he faces, both domestically and foreign.
So take us behind the scenes, guys, for our viewers. How did this all come together?
Well, I mean, you must give the remarkable team at CBS News, and especially Ryan Cadro, who spearheaded this drive to come down here and do what we have done today. I mean, and you must say they get a lot of credit.
For sure.
And do the White House people, too. I mean, as far as I know, I don't know what went on behind the scenes, but as far as I know, everything worked as much beyond what we might have expected.
But listen, Vlad, we made a pitch to the White House, as did all the other networks, and they liked what we had to say and chose us, starting with John Dickerson's exclusive interview over the weekend on day 100 of the president's administration. And then they allowed us to come be here inside the White House in the East Room. I'm hoping that they'll let us leave that CBS This Morning logo on the front lawn. I think that's a very nice touch.
That would be great.
On the we want to call it a sculpture.
So
That's right.
Modern art.
Look how good that looks. Yeah.
But, you know, it has been incredible to be here. Just the history alone in the East Room. This is actually the biggest room in the entire White House, the only room that stretches from the north to the south, the tallest room, too, in the White House. But everywhere from John and Abigail Adams used to hang their laundry in here. There have been 7 funerals, 7 weddings. I mean, they've entertained in here. There have been press conferences. That's the painting, of course, of Gilbert Stuart painting of George Washington that is so famous and has been here since 1800. So just even
you said that's
history.
the only one that's been here the whole time.
Yeah. That's right. That painting is the oldest artifact. I spoke with the White House Historical Association yesterday about some of all the interesting facts in here. So it's fun to do that. And then I think on top of that, Vlad, just bringing our round table here to the White House and getting to talk to the president's closest advisors. I think we did a lot of interesting reporting and interviews today to get a sense of what's ahead for the president this week and this year. They still have an incredibly ambitious agenda, and despite what you may read about setbacks, they are full steam ahead and they feel confident.
They feel confident and very good about the job that they've done so far.
Right. It's an incredible opportunity. Here they are opening, the president's opening his home, and everyone who works in the administration is opening their offices, essentially. You know, what do you think the message was that the administration wanted to put out on this 100th day? Or around the 100th day?
Well, I can tell you what I think they feel. They feel like they have accomplished some things, and they want to make sure that they tell you what they are.
And they know that there's more work to be done. They get that.
You know, there's a huge legislative agenda. The most important thing was the confirmation of Supreme Court justice, and that has been the signal achievement. But they've got health care on the docket. They've got tax reform on the docket. They have got infrastructure on the docket. So the whole range of things that they want to do this year.
And they told us that they think they have enough votes for health care, which they said we will get that vote sooner rather than later. That will be very interesting to see how that actually plays out.
As you mentioned, go ahead, Norah.
There's Gary Cohn, the president's top economic advisor here at the White House, the former Democrat, the former current Democrat, I guess he still is, working for a Republican. He said not only do they have to get the tax reform done this year, but they have to get infrastructure done. They recognize the calendar that plagues many presidents, not just President Trump, but trying to get a lot done in the first year. So they're still incredibly optimistic.
Yeah. And he did make an interesting point that's made here, is that they do understand that they have to speak to the people who elected them too. And there comes a time in which they have to do some things that will register with them. They have been enormously loyal to the president, but at the same time, those voters expect the president to do things here in Washington that he campaigned for.
So you interviewed many of the president's staff. At one point, you had Sean Spicer on the show, and he said that one of the things he doesn't like when he's standing at the podium there is gotcha questions that come from reporters. All of you have interviewed former presidents of the United States. Norah, you were a White House reporter. Is that what reporters are trying to do, play gotcha with the press secretary?
Well, some may be different. Reporters and journalism and the media is not monolithic, right? They're different.
Yeah.
They're different, and there are examples, no doubt. I mean, we can where some reporters do ask gotcha questions. There are others that are more probing and informative. The nature of a press briefing and the White House press briefing has always been somewhat for show. I mean, let's be honest, and that's not just been under the Trump administration. It's been true of Obama and Bush, and certainly before that. That's why a lot of journalists may say, maybe we should take this off camera, that we might find out more. But a lot of journalists who do a lot of long form reporting do most of their reporting off camera. I mean, that's just
right. Yeah.
that's just the nature of the game.
And it's hard to know what the definition of where the divide is between trying to advance a story and gotcha.
Norah, you mentioned some of the art that's up in the room there. All the three of you have done interviews in the White House before. I'm wondering if you have noticed any tweaks, any of that signature Trump style.
Well, there's so much camera equipment here today, and lights, camera, action. It's hard to see exactly what has happened in the White House, but I don't see that. I guess you're referring to gold.
A
little bit. Anne-Marie Green, it's good to be with you. But we weren't in the private residence, so.
Yeah. Well, Anne-Marie, the East Room has largely not changed since Teddy Roosevelt. It stayed mostly the same. These yellow
even the
Scalamandra silk
yeah.
have always been here. What has changed is the Oval Office, and that was a little bit about what President Trump talked to John about, the changes in the Oval. But these
he brought the flags in, things like that.
Yeah, I mean, it was Mrs. Kennedy, of course, who helped restore the White House, and each First Lady has added a little bit more. But traditionally, these rooms have remained pretty much the same for the last half century.
Each president chooses the portraits or the photograph that they want. There are a lot of family things, but I mean, for example, the president has a large photograph of his father, who obviously had a huge influence on him in the Oval Office. George Bush 43 had Winston Churchill. President Obama had Martin Luther King Jr.
I want to get one of those buttons where I can order a Coke. Maybe my mom
or soda.
would, or any kind of soda. And finally, you had some surprise guests. You had Ivanka Trump there, and then all of a sudden, Jared Kushner walked into the room, and everybody was like mass pandemonium. And I was straining to hear his voice. Did he speak anything to you guys?
Well, Ivanka was sitting right here, and so I had the vantage point of just seeing right over Gayle's shoulder. He was just peeking over and watching his wife. So I had to grab Gayle and say, "Look who's here! Look who's here!" But
we extended an invitation to the table. Of course, he didn't take it, but just the fact that he came, I think, says something. He knows that we're going to at least try to get him over to the table, and he came to say hello.
That was very cool. It was such an incredible broadcast. Congratulations. That was just fantastic. And thank you for taking some time out of what I know is a very, very busy morning for you to spend it with us here on CBSN.
Yes, we're very busy people, Vlad, but we like you and Anne-Marie.
Thank you so much.
Thank you, guys.
See you guys.
Thank you, guys.